So, have you ever felt that nagging pull, you know, that feeling of being kind of tethered to a desk?
Oh, definitely. Staring at the clock, maybe. Dreaming of living life more on your terms.
Exactly. Not freedom way off in some distant retirement, but actual freedom right now.
Yeah, it's such a common feeling, that little whisper saying, is this it? Waiting for life to really start. Sometimes it gets pretty loud.
A deep yearning. That's exactly what we're diving into today for you, the learner.
We're looking at Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which, really shook things up.
Totally. It's not just about, tweaking your schedule a bit. It's more like a radical blueprint. Designing a life with freedom, income, mobility.
Our mission here is to pull out the key stuff, the really actionable bits of knowledge for you.
Yeah, to help you understand how you can maybe redefine success, structure your time differently, ways you might not have even considered.
And the book itself, it came out back in 2007, right? With updates since then. It's kind of self-help, kind of entrepreneurship, but really it's about lifestyle design. Challenges almost everything we assume about work and retirement.
And the core idea, the thing that really flips the script, it's this concept Ferriss calls the new rich, the NR.
Right. And these aren't necessarily your typical millionaires living in mansions.
No, they're people who've consciously decided, okay, time, mobility, purpose.
Yeah.
That's what matters more than just, the biggest paycheck or status.
So for anyone feeling maybe a bit burned out or just really curious about different ways to live, this part is fascinating.
It really is. Because this new rich idea, it's not just a new way to work. It's a whole different definition of what success even is.
Yeah, it pushes back hard against all that conditioning we get growing up, doesn't it?
Totally. It's saying, look, real wealth, it's measured in experiences, in autonomy, not just the number in your bank account.
That's such a key point. So it's not about wanting to be a millionaire just 'cause.
Right. It's about experiencing the things you think only millions can buy. Ferriss has that great quote. People don't want to be millionaires.
They want to experience what they think only millions can buy. Yeah, that sums it up perfectly.
So instead of waiting decades for one big retirement, maybe you take, mini retirements.
Mm-hmm. Like spending a month in Thailand learning to dive or
living in Colombia while your online business kind of runs itself in the background. That's the picture Ferriss paints. Immediate freedom. Tangible.
Not just some abstract financial goal way down the line.
Exactly. And to make this happen, he gives this really clear 4-step process, calls it the DEAL framework.
Right. DEAL. Should we unpack that for the learner? Starting with D.
Well, let's do it. So D is for definition. And this first step, for you, the learner, it's all about rethinking what success means to you.
Ferriss really argues that the whole traditional retirement idea, work for 40 years for a few golden years, it's just outdated, inefficient even.
So he redefines wealth. It's like an equation. Time plus mobility plus freedom. That equals wealth, not just money.
It's a totally different calculation. And this definition step also has this really counterintuitive idea he calls fear setting.
Ah, yeah, instead of goal setting.
Exactly. You basically list out in detail all your worst feels about making a big change. What's the absolute worst that could happen?
And the point is?
The point is, when you really look at them, most fears are, reversible or manageable, or just not the catastrophe you imagine. It kind of defangs the fear.
That's a huge mental shift, right? Actually confronting the anxiety instead of letting it paralyze you.
Mm-hmm. And he challenges another habit, too, the whole busyness thing. There's that quote.
Oh, the one about laziness. Being busy is a form of laziness.
Lazy thinking and indiscriminate action, yeah. It makes you stop and ask, okay, am I actually productive or just busy, reacting all the time?
Which leads perfectly into the next letter, E.
E for elimination. And this is all about doing more by actually doing less.
We've all heard of the 80-20 rule, right? The Pareto principle.
Sure, 80% of results from 20% of effort. But Ferriss says, don't just identify the 20%, you have to be ruthless. Aggressively eliminate the other 80%.
Just cut it out completely.
If it doesn't directly drive your main goals, yes, cut the fluff. He talks about things like a low-information diet. Meaning drastically reducing your intake of useless news, random emails, social media scrolling, all the stuff that just eats time and gives little value back.
Okay, makes sense. Get rid of the noise.
Precisely. And then he brings in Parkinson's law.
Ah, the idea that work expands to fill the time you give it.
Exactly. And the practical takeaway is super useful. Give yourself shorter deadlines, artificially short.
Because you'll force yourself to be more efficient.
You often find you get it done faster, yeah. focuses the mind.
No.
And his core tip here is powerful. Don't prioritize tasks, eliminate them.
Wow. Not just reorder, but actually question if a task needs doing at all.
Right. How much can you just cut? It's a fascinating question.
That's got to be tough for people, though. I mean, eliminating tasks sounds great, but what's the biggest obstacle Ferriss sees there?
Well, often it's ego, actually, or just this ingrained idea that being busy equals being important. We like feeling busy sometimes.
Yeah, it feels productive even if it's not.
But Ferriss argues real importance comes from impact, not just hours clocked. Which brings us nicely to A.
A for automation. Okay, so this is about getting systems and other people involved.
Exactly. This is where you start really creating time freedom, delegating tasks, especially repetitive stuff, using virtual assistants or VAs.
And it's also about building income streams that aren't tied directly to your time, right? What he calls muses.
Passive income is key.
Yeah.
He talks about things like niche e-commerce stores using drop shipping maybe, or selling digital products online.
Like an ebook or a course?
Could be, yeah. Anything that solves a specific problem. The main idea is separating time from income. Stop trading hours for dollars. Create something once, sell it many times.
Makes sense. Does he give examples of tools for this?
Oh yeah, he gets practical. Using platforms like Shopify for e-commerce, setting up email autoresponders to handle customer queries or deliver content automatically.
So you're not constantly answering the same questions.
Right. You can even have whole customer service teams run by VAs. The goal, like you said, is building that muse, a simple automated business that basically pays for your lifestyle.
Okay, so D for definition, E for elimination, A for automation. That leaves L.
L for liberation. This is the final step, really putting it all together to escape the traditional office setup.
So like working remotely.
That's a big part of it, negotiating remote work if you're employed. And that conversation is, way more common now than when the book first came out.
True. What else falls under liberation?
Well, there's the concept of geo-arbitrage.
Geo-arbitrage.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit complex.
Not really. It's actually quite brilliant. It just means earning money in a strong currency, like US dollars or euros.
And living somewhere the cost of living is much lower.
Exactly. Places like Thailand, maybe, or Colombia, Portugal, your income stretches way further. You can live incredibly well for much less.
That's a powerful combo.
Yeah.
So liberation is about structuring your whole life around, flexibility, purpose, travel.
Yes. It's about making those things the priority, not the afterthought. And connecting back to that earlier idea, it's about not deferring joy.
Which is where the mini retirements come in.
Right. Taking extended breaks, maybe a month, maybe 6 months, throughout your life. Not waiting for one big chunk at 65 that might never come or might not be what you hoped for.
So if we zoom out a bit, how do all these pieces, DEAL, fit together for the learner? It's not just a list of tricks, is it?
No, not at all. It's designed as a system. Think about it. Fear setting clears the mental blocks.
Which lets you actually apply the 80-20 rule to figure out what's truly important.
Then you use Parkinson's law, short deadlines, to blast through those key tasks efficiently.
Okay, got it.
Then you automate or delegate everything else, maybe using VAs, building that muse business in the background.
And then you liberate yourself. Remote work, maybe geo-arbitrage, putting it all together to gain that time and location freedom.
It's a whole process, moving you from just being busy to being truly productive and ultimately, free.
So wrapping this up for you, the learner, what's the big takeaway here? This isn't just another productivity book.
No, definitely not. It's really a life design manual. It's probably most obviously useful for, say, entrepreneurs, freelancers, people already working remotely.
Digital nomads.
Yeah, digital nomads love this stuff. But also maybe burned out professionals. Anyone just feeling trapped and wanting more time freedom, more location independence.
It really feels like it empowers you to think about creating a life on your own terms, not just accepting the default path.
And Ferriss has those other great lines. The opposite of happiness is boredom.
Right. And focus on being productive instead of busy. It really hammers home that mindset shift.
It's about moving from passively accepting how things should be done to actively designing how you want to live. So what stands out most to you from all these ideas?
For me, it's that challenge to deeply question assumptions about work, wealth, retirement, all of it.
Yeah, finding freedom even within the constraints you have is powerful stuff.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the 4-Hour Workweek. We've explored Tim Ferriss's pretty Pretty revolutionary ideas.
From the whole new rich philosophy to that practical deal framework, definition, elimination, automation, and liberation.
It really is all about shifting, moving away from that traditional work model towards a life you design yourself, built around freedom and purpose, starting, well, now.
So we'd encourage you, the learner, to just think about it. How could you apply maybe just one of these ideas?
Could be small. Maybe redefining what wealth means just for yourself, or finding one low-impact thing you can just eliminate from your week.
Or maybe just letting yourself dream a little about what a mini retirement could look like for you, maybe sooner than you thought.
And just to leave you with something to chew on, here's a thought. If that standard 9 to 5 retired 65 model really is outdated, what forgotten passion or overlooked part of your life, what could that become your very first mini retirement experience starting, well, right now?